Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Sinner Sacrifice for Redemption video walkthrough. We're now going to be taking on the Gluttonous Camber Luce, I think he's called. And this is my least favourite fight in the game. And I hate to say that, I really do. Because I think that this character looks awesome. I think he's got a lot of character. I think he's got a lot of flair, a lot of flourish to him. And I do think he's got some really interesting facets to his design. But I also think he's boring as shit when he should have been so much more. And I'm going to explain why. In order to make this walkthrough as successful as I want it to be, I cannot simply go into these fights and dodge every move perfectly using reflex and execution because it's how I play video games and it's a thing that I love. If I do that, I'm going to ostracize people who can't do that. So instead, I came at this from the perspective of making strategies that I felt were quite easy and consistent and would help anybody win. So for this guy hits so much, so often, and so quickly, I have no idea why he's even fat. Like, video games these days have these fat enemies, but fat enemies aren't slow. Like, traditionally, the large enemy is a slow, lumbering giant, right? With tons of recovery. This guy is not that. This dude is faster than you. He's incredibly fast. Everything he does is lightning quick. So it kinda just 100% underwhelms his entire design. So if you go up to him, he starts swinging, and you can do all kinds of fancy no-roll stuff and rolling around and hitting him in the bumhole and all that good stuff, but it's very demanding. If you want to fight him like that, go for it. It's really functional and you will be successful. But if you want a safe and reliable strategy that doesn't demand insane reflexes and to understand his patterns completely, play like a bitch that I'm doing right now. Run away from him. He has a move where he tries to fire at you with his stomach, and he telegraphs it by raising both of his arms. Oh, by the way, he's going into the water now. If you ever see him doing this, you can run into him and attack him and he will not do anything. This is also a cheesy way of exploiting this big bugger. So smack him a bunch, and now sprint. Sprint away from the hole, and he's going to bust out of the ice and land very close to you. And then all the icicles that rain down, they all do passive damage, so be very careful. The biggest thing you need to know about this fight is that when he makes holes in the ice by banging and by going into it and things, they stay around, and if you fall in the ice you die instantly. So the longer this battle goes, the more perilous the environment becomes, and that's when things can get really tricky. Also, some of his attack will push you into the water. Like if he comes out of the water and hits you right now, he can knock you really far, and he'll knock you into a hole because it happens all the time. And this is the move we want, see that? If you listen to the audio here, there's 3 distinct cues, and then you can do a running attack, a second running attack, and if you want to, do a third one, but be aware you'll have to dodge. If you only do 2, you will never have to time a dodge because he doesn't recover quick enough. And this is all you do to punish him, guys. It's not very fast, but it's wonderfully consistent. Here it is again. And depending on how good of the pattern you get will depend on how much he does this. Additionally, the thing to bear in mind and be careful of with this move that we're just punishing is if you go too quick on the end of the 3rd spray, it has a very active hitbox and it will hit you. So be very careful with that. But punish with 3 if you want to, and now he goes into his 2nd phase where he starts rolling. If he hits an iceberg when he rolls, you can then do a massive punish. The best punish is 3 running R2s on his bum. And then all I'm going to do now is move to the next iceberg and get him to roll into it. It's going to stun him, and then we're going to punish him with running R2s. And that's kind of the end of the fight. And it's interesting because there's so much going on in this encounter, but none of it does much. And this might be my ignorance coming through because I don't know this game very well. I'm very new to it, and I'm enjoying it a lot, and I do recommend it. I recommend it wholeheartedly. But we were testing this on my stream to try and see if we could figure out some interesting things to do to him, and when he tries to bite you, I thought maybe if you throw the fire pot in his mouth, it would stun him or do something really cool. It didn't. And then I thought, oh, maybe you throw a spear and it'll do something really cool. It didn't. The only time throwing things into his stomach that has an effect is when he's healing. It stops his heal and that's it. And you didn't even see him heal because I killed him so quickly. And I feel like there's all this potential for this boss, but it's not been used. And I wish it was. Like, you can knock him over, but attacking his head doesn't do extra damage. And I don't get that. It's kind of like with the parrying. When you parry an enemy, if they don't have a specific riposte to them, you do no extra damage when you hit them. It's almost like the developer forgot to change the modifier on your damage to give you a benefit for parrying. As it stands, parrying is kind of pointless outside of looking cool. It's really bizarre, and I don't know if they simply didn't think of it, or if it's meant to be that way, but it could be improved in such the slightest few tweaks. But once again, guys, you know, I'm new to the game, it is a new game, there might be things I've not discovered, but that's definitely the boss that I don't enjoy fighting. Out of all of them, he's the one that I kind of groan a bit when I have to go into it, even though I think he looks amazing, he's got a lot of cool moves. I just wish his punishes were a bit more interesting, and if it's me that's at fault, then I revert everything I've just said, but from what we tested the other day, I don't think it is.